Hey, it's Jonathan McGinley, a Maxwell certified coach, speaker, and trainer, and the founder of Intentional Man, a company that exists to give Christian men the tools, the community, the coaching to pursue God-sized goals, live intentionally, and build lives of significance. Let me ask you a question as we get started. Do you have any intentional rules set up for how you use and interact with your phone, with your cell phone? Do you have a plan? Are you proactive in the way that you use your phone, or are you reactive? And recently I had one of these bad weeks where it just seemed I was always on my phone, right? I was on it way more than I needed to be. It feels like sometimes once you start checking your phone regularly or getting sucked into social media, the news or sports apps, once you start that, you get sucked in. It's really hard to get out of it, right? I'm sure some of you can relate. And I had a day where my screen time was way up. I didn't get near as much done as I wanted to. And it got me thinking that I need to be more proactive in my relationship with my phone. In Intentional Man, we talk about the difference between being proactive in life and being reactive in life all the time. And this is one of the key characteristics of an intentional man. An intentional man is proactive. He doesn't coast through life reacting to the world around him, but rather you get a vision for your life, and you proactively design your life in a way that's in alignment with your vision and your values. One of the things that can easily distract you and can easily dominate your time and knock you off the vision and the values that you have for your life, if you're not careful, is that cell phone. The average American spends 6 hours a day on their phone, 6 hours a day of screen time. And whether you're above that amount, whether you're below that amount, whether you're right at that 6 hours, this is something that can get the best of us on any given day if we're not careful. So your phone, it has many benefits. Absolutely. I love the iPhone. It's amazing to be able to just pull up any information we need when we need it, to have maps that take you anywhere when you're traveling. There's a lot of great functions, but it can also have many disadvantages. So I'm not here to tell you today how you should use your phone, but I do want to help you think through some areas where you need to come up with some rules for your phone that will make sure that you're being proactive and make sure you're not wasting too much time on a device that can get the best of any one of us on any given day. So today, I'm going to give you 5 different areas where I would encourage you to actually take some time and set up some rules for your phone. If you're proactive in these 5 areas, you're going to feel way more in control of how you interact with your phone, and you're going to be way more equipped to make sure you don't waste too much time on it. So, you ready to dive in? The 5 areas. The first one I want you to think about: how are you going to handle your phone at night, particularly before you go to bed? Do you have any proactive rules or strategies or things in place that are going to help make sure that you end your day well? I found some varying stats on this. It seems like everybody has a different number, but studies seem to show that somewhere between 2/3 and 90% of Americans are using their phones right before they go to sleep, like in the last 15 to 5 minutes before they go to bed. Could be about 90% of Americans, at least 2/3. And I'm not gonna dive deep today in all the science and the negative effects that this has on you. We'll save that for another video. But I do want to ask you, is that, if you're ending the day on your phone, is that for sure the best way for you to end your day? Like, do you think that actually sets you up for success the next day when you really think about it and ask yourself honestly? It's worth asking yourself those questions and then making a plan for how you want to finish your day well. Recently, I've started doing like a phone fast after 9 p.m. So I turn on Do Not Disturb every night at 9 p.m., making sure I have at least an hour before bed where I'm not looking at my phone at all. And that's a rule I put in place to make sure that I'm not on my phone at night, that it's not keeping me up late, that I'm not stressing about things, that it's not putting my mind in a bad state before I go to bed. I also have a rule where I put my phone across the room while I sleep to make sure I'm not tempted to pick it up right before I go to bed, or if I wake up in the middle of the night, that I'm not tempted to hop on it. So those are just a couple simple rules that I've put in place to make sure I'm being proactive with my phone in the evenings. I know some other guys who have shut down access to specific apps after a certain time in the evening. I know guys who have literally put their phone in a box at night and they don't pull it out until the morning. You can put it in a different room, whatever it is. I just want you to come up with what you think is best for you to make sure that you have some sort of proactive strategy for how you want to use your phone in the evening, how you want to use it in those last, hour leading up to bed. So that's area number one. The second one, this would naturally follow that. How do you want to use your phone in the mornings? Again, the large majority of people check their phones immediately upon waking up. And this has numerous negative effects, including, you're skipping vital stages of your brain. Your brain has stages that it goes through when you wake up. And when you jump on your phone, it skips one of those stages, which is not good for you. It also can set your focus on the wrong things when you wake up, right? So if the first thing you check is the news, maybe you're going to immediately find yourself stressed out by all the negativity that you're reading about. If it's social media, then it's most likely going to put you into comparison mode right away in the morning. If it's email, a lot of us check that first thing in the morning. You're immediately turning into reaction mode, right? You're reacting to others' requests instead of starting off your day proactively. Also, you might get that stressful email from your boss or a coworker, and all of a sudden you're stressed out and you're thinking about all the things that you have to do before you even got off for the day. So is looking at your phone when you first wake up, is that the best thing for you? Ask yourself that question honestly. And if this is something that you're doing, the time might be now to be proactive and kind of change up that routine. So if the answer is no to that, if you know that it's not the best thing for you, I would encourage you to set up some rules for how you want to use it in the morning. I have my phone across the room, forces me to get out of bed to turn off my alarm. Once I turn it off, I just leave it there. It's on Do Not Disturb. I go into my living room. I have my God time. I do some reading. Then I go to the gym. I'm not allowed to check my phone or look at it until I'm done with the gym and I've eaten breakfast and showered and I'm ready for the day. So that's how it is for me. I got 9 p.m. at night till 8 a.m. the next morning where my phone is off limits. That's a rule that I had to put on myself because I was spending too much time at night or getting distracted in the morning. So that's what I proactively did. Again, those are rules that I put in place. They've changed my life in terms of how I'm waking up and how I'm going to bed. But I want you to do something that works for you. You don't have to do that, but come up with your own rules for the morning to start your day off right. Okay, so that was number two. The next area to think through, then after the morning, where do we go? We go to work. Okay, what are going to be your rules for how you want to use your phone at work? For a lot of people, their phone is literally on their desk as they work, sitting there on their desk. Is that the best place for it? Is that truly serving you or is that harming you if it's literally right there in front of you at all hours of the day? If your phone is on your desk, it's extremely difficult not to check it, right? You get that notification and everything in us wants to check it. I fall into that. If it's sitting there, I probably will check it. The crazy thing too is though, even if you hear the notification or you see it and you don't check it, it actually takes your brain just as much energy to fight against it as if you were to pick it up. So ultimately, even if you just hear it and your willpower is good and you don't check it, you're still just as distracted by that notification as you would have been if you would have just picked it up and checked it real quick. Pretty crazy. I think you've probably had those moments where that text goes off and like everything in you wants to check it. You hear that buzz and then you can't think about anything else. That's what I'm talking about. I do that all the time. It's really hard for me once I see a notification to actually be totally focused until I check it. So that's why for me, it's worth not having my phone on my desk, put it somewhere else. So what are your rules for your phone during work? How often do you want to check your phone? Where do you want to put it? So think about those things. Think about how long you want to check it when you do, what apps you're allowed to check while you're at work. Think through all of these things and come up with a proactive strategy. You can come up with your own strategy, but you have to be proactive in this, or that phone can completely disrupt your workday. So that was 3. Fourth one, next area is think about how you want to use your phone when you're interacting with other people, like you're in a meeting or you're in a group of friends. How do you want to actually use your phone in those situations? This is a big one. I think we can all think of that person who's completely distracted all the time with their phones when you're around them. When you're on this side of it and somebody's on their phone and you're trying to talk to them, how does it feel? It's pretty frustrating, right? I think we've all experienced that. But we could probably all say, too, that we've been on the other end of it a time or two where we're the distracted ones. We're being pulled in by our phone. We're not present. We're not focused on the other person in the moment. It's really easy for this to happen. It's a big value of mine to be focused and to be present when I'm with somebody. I want them to feel like they're the most important person in that moment. So if that's a value of mine, then it's definitely worth coming up with some sort of strategy and being proactive to make sure that I'm in alignment with that value. So when you're with somebody, where do you want your phone to be? Are you going to leave it on the table where it's easily, where you can easily be distracted by notifications? Or are you going to put it in your bag or somewhere else where it's not going to be as easy to be distracted by it? When you're with somebody, do you have it on Do Not Disturb? Do you have it on vibrate instead of ring? Have you made any rules on how you want to handle it if you do get a call in a certain situation? Are you going to take it? Are you not? Which people are you going to take it for? Which people are you going to ignore it for? These are the kind of things I'm talking about. Just make sure you think through it. It only takes a couple minutes. Put some strategies in place and stick to them. And you can always make adjustments as you go. But the key here is thinking it through and being proactive. Okay, so the last area I want you to think through with your phone, setting up some rules, is for your most distracting, time-sucking apps. We all know what these are for ourselves. Mine, for me, I spend way too much time reading sports articles. I can easily be sucked down by those if I'm not careful. For you, it may be YouTube, maybe Instagram, TikTok, fantasy football, news apps, whatever it is. Do you just look at these when you're bored, or do you look at them when you just need a quick break from work, or do you just have do you actually have a proactive strategy and thought to the amount of time that you want to spend on these apps? These apps are all designed by the top engineers in the world. And their goal is to keep you on them as long as possible. I used to think that willpower was enough for me, right? Have you been there where you think willpower is enough? I'm just not going to keep looking at this. I can say no. I don't think willpower is the best strategy when you're going against these engineers who've created these apps literally to keep you on there. These are some of the smartest people in the world, all with the purpose of taking our attention, keeping us on that app. So for me, willpower does not feel like enough. So I need to put together a strategy to actually make sure I'm not getting sucked into these things. So you need to think through how much time you want to give these apps each day, and then put some plans in place to stick to it. Put some time limits on your phone. Set up work mode where you can't check things at certain times of the day. You can remove apps from your phone and only access them on your computer. I got a guy who did that recently where he just took Instagram off of his phone, and when he needs it for work, he goes and logs in on his computer, schedules it all out that way. That's a great way to do it if you're finding that you're getting sucked into Instagram too much. But there's a lot of different ways you can do this. I'd encourage you to think through it and figure out what works best for you. At least just try something. Make sure you have some sort of idea, some sort of rule or strategy that's going to help make sure you don't get sucked into these things longer than you want to. So I promise you, you're never going to look back at your life and wish that you spent more time on your phone, right? When you think about the end of your life, you're not going to wish you spent more time on it, but there's a good chance you're going to look back and wish that you spent way less time on your phone. So if that's the case, then we need to be proactive, and we need to actually put strategies and rules in place to make sure we're not getting to the end of our lives looking back thinking we wasted way too much time on our phone. So I hope this was helpful for you today. If this was impactful, please share it with somebody else that you might think could benefit from it. So thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it every single time. And go live a life you're proud of by living intentionally.